We're getting started a little bit late tonight. Welcome to the Wednesday, June 27th meeting of the Board of Trustees of Richmond Community Schools. It's wonderful to see all of you out there in the audience. We always start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That's always so much more fun when there's kids. I know, when you can hear their voices out there. Adjournment.
Just kidding.
Should I ring my bell? The board vision says that Richmond Community Schools will be a high-performing, well-respected public school system that will make the community proud. Excellent student achievement, graduation rate, and attendance will be our hallmarks. The Board of Trustees recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on corporation matters. We want to ensure that the public feels welcome and that the concerns are answered in a timely, efficient manner. The following protocol has been established. The board has set aside 2 30-minute periods for public comment during each board meeting. The maximum time for individual speakers is 5 minutes per person. The board expects personal decorum and factual information from the speaker. If the issue is a personal issue and of not general interest to the public participant will receive a personal follow-up within the week. Public comments requiring no research, investigation, or review may receive response from the board and/or administration as appropriate. Mrs. Stewart, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
We do. First is Lauren Griffin. Okay, all 3 are coming. Lauren Griffin, Caitlin Rader, and Sammy Strong.
And I believe these are all Devilettes who are coming forward to tell us about a fundraiser. If you've seen pink flamingos around town.
So you can talk by
Thank you. If you would, can you explain exactly what this is about and how I either keep this or get rid of it?
Well, my mom came up with this idea to help the Devilettes fundraise to pay for our summer expenses and things, and we've decided that, well, we'll drop the flock off at somebody that we know, like their house, and it's $10 to just remove the flock. So if you want to get rid of that, $10.
Okay.
And then if you want to send it to one of your friends, that's $15, so it gets out of your yard. You send it to whoever you want to.
Mm-hmm.
For $5 more, you can have flock insurance so that you can never get the flock sent back to you. And then $5 more if you want to know who sent the flock to you. So if you got it from a friend, you can figure out who gave it to you.
That's interesting. And every one of the Devilettes has one of these, right?
Yeah, all 24 girls has their own flock.
And you have different kinds, correct? Because I saw some pink flamingos in someone's yard the other day, and I thought, wow, aren't those attractive? Now I have my very own.
So how would we possibly take care of a good friend for whom I'd like a little revenge, please?
Well, there's a number on this page that we can give you, and you can just call. You can call Terry Reynolds, our director, and set up a girl to come and figure out where you want to send the flock, or you can call a Devilette if you know any of them.
Okay. And how long will you be doing this?
For as long as we want.
It's kind of endless, I think, from what I can tell. And the money's going to what?
It goes straight to each girl account, each of the girls' accounts. So you got Lauren's flock, so when you pay her, it'll go straight to Lauren's account. So it's 100% profit for each girl. It pays band camp, all of our summer expenses, and even into next year. So it can go towards anything in our accounts.
Well, somebody's very creative. That's a great idea. Does anyone else have questions? Aaron?
If they would, your names again and are you officers with the Devilettes this year?
Yeah. Okay. My name's Sammy Strunk, and I'm a senior officer.
My name's Caitlin Rader, and I'm a junior.
And I'm Lauren Griffin, and I'm a junior.
No.
Now, when you say that some of these are in people's yards, are they bigger than this?
Yes.
They're the big, oh.
Yeah, there's like two big flamingos and two little ones like that.
So it's a family.
That's where the flock is.
Actually, it's a flock. Well, I've been thinking about who to pass this off to, so I'll be giving you a call.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. How much
Have a lot
fun.
of fun with that.
Oh, dear.
We're on to our early college program recognition.
Dr. Schlicht is somewhere in the room. There she is. Would you like to come forward and talk about this evening and the importance it is in the overall scheme of things here at the Richmond Community Schools?
I always hate it that I can't face both ways at the same time, but just know that the love goes everywhere. You know, we're in a room right now where board members share their thoughts and they make decisions all the time that they trust will honor all children in Richmond Community Schools. So what I'm saying is, this is a special place, folks. It really is. And tonight, all of you are here to be presented to the Richmond Community Schools Board of Trustees. So let's all listen as to why you're here. First of all, students, a Richmond Community Schools teacher believed you had the ability to consistently achieve in a college-bound program. This was evidenced in your grades, in your state testing, in your schoolwork, in your work ethic, in your behavior, and you also candidated very well. You're here because the Board of Trustees, the early college team, me, and all of us here desire to invite you to a call to higher expectations. You are here because there are some very special people standing behind you, your parents. And that very special group of people are a large part of the reason you're here today. So pay attention. The call to higher expectations began in the lobby when students were expected to introduce themselves and their families to board members. You're going to see that call again when you go to the August 9th Step-Up Day, and student ambassadors from cohorts 3 and 4 conduct all of the training. And most importantly, you're going to respond to that call in the Early College Preparatory Academy classroom, where in addition to more rigorous work, you're going to be expected to serve other people, to work well with community partners, and to learn habits of mind that will make you grow into the leaders that every person here believes you're going to be. So remember, you're going to have to be watchful. You're going to have to be patient. This transformation does not happen overnight. However, in the years to come, if you put your best foot forward and you do what you're supposed to do, we're all going to hear great things about every last one of you. The newest members of the early college family, cohorts 5 and 6. Now I'm going to introduce you by cohorts. So, if next year you will be in grade 6, please stand. Richmond Community Schools Board of Trustees, I present to you cohort 6. Thank you very much. You may be seated, and their names are listed up there for all to see. If next year you will be in grade 5, please stand. Richmond Community Schools Board of Trustees, I present to you cohort 6. We congratulate both cohorts as you move forward to the RCS Early College. And special thanks to the families, the board members, and everybody who've brought these future leaders to this place. Thank you again. Is this when we exit, or do you have any
Well,
more?
not just yet.
Not yet, okay.
Not yet. There may be some questions, and I would like to also say that Dr. Slicky talked about bringing, or arriving at this place. I think she was talking about a place and time, but I also want all the students to know, and their parents, that thanks to some decisions made here by the board, and thanks to the efforts of many people out in the community, we're also creating a very special place for you to be going to school next year. Mr. Mays over here. Mr. Mays, why don't you stand up? Yeah. Mr. Mays is working every single day, and has been for the last several months, at doing nothing more than organizing our efforts to renovate buildings and to make them ready for next year. And one of the biggest projects that we have is the one that will serve all of you and your classmates over at Hibbard. And at some point in the very near future, we have an open house. I would encourage you to attend that when you hear about it, because it's going to be a beautiful building. It is a very nice building as it stands right now, but we're putting the finishing touches, and it's even going to be better. So we're anxious to see students in there, and glad that those students are sitting right here in this room. We're looking forward to next year. Board members?
Any questions? Well, congratulations to all of you.
Well, we should say that they did a very fine job. They shook our hands, they looked us in the eye, and they told us their name and introduced. I met more parents and grandparents and sisters and all of those things. They did a very fine job.
Hey, Kelly, might we have Dr. Slicky tell us how they selected, like the process for selecting these students too? Because I think they deserve to, people need to know all that they went through to get here.
Well, first what happens at the schools is that the teachers nominate students that they feel like would make good candidates for this program and the Cruising into the Future program, which is a communities and school program. And they score the students at the school and narrow down and submit 5 nominations per school. And then those students can candidate for the early college, and what they do is when they're brought to like the school library or a good place where they can do this, and they have an icebreaker where they all kind of get warmed up and laughing. Then they're split into 2 groups, and they have small group work, and then they come back and share that work with one another and kind of have conversations about it. Then they create a poster presentation. They decide who's going to present, who's going to ask questions. The whole time, there are 2 people from the Communities and School program, and myself and Susie Hazakoster, lead teacher for the Early College Preparatory Academy, all of us together scoring using rubrics that are based on the habits of mind. And then after we've done all of that, then they present. After the presentation, they go off to their separate spots, and then they write essays. They're kind of like college entrance essays, and they tell why they would be a good person in a college-bound program. They're very specific. And then after that, they pick whoever they were most comfortable with in the room, and they have what's called a self-perception interview, and we have them score how their performance was, tell us why, what they would have added, and pretty much how the whole experience went for them. And then we take all of that data and we sit down for a very long time and look at it then, and then we table it. And then we wait till the very end after we've seen every child, and we select the program that best fits the kid for them to be in. And then the beautiful part is too, as you know, we've recently expanded at the high school level. And so students who were in the Cruising into the Future program and were very successful there have been invited into our high school early college program at the high school. So looks like all kids are winning.
That's great.
Linda?
A couple things. Could you please share with us the rest of the staff that will be working with the students?
I can give, I'm not.
They are.
Well, first, we've got Gwen Gibbs here, who will be our building principal. Why don't you come up, Gwen, and help me with this? I know you're around here somewhere.
Oh, there she is.
We have some people who are new, and I don't know everybody as of yet, so I'm gonna let,
Want to introduce your,
okay, Phil.
we'll have 5th grade Brad Pitcher, 6th grade Ginger Middleton, and then 7th and 8th grade Susie Hazakoster and Latricia Jackson. Latricia focuses on humanities, Susie focuses on the science. Then we have Pam Kirk, who'll be coming for PE, Tammy Talbot, art. Keith is here too. Keith Z, Mr. Z, Zolski, I'm not sure. He's the orchestra man, and the orchestra for all the middle school will be at Hibbard, and the band will be at Denison Test.
Great.
So I think our CIS person is Kirsten Barbary.
Nice.
Our secretary, can't forget the secretary, will be Kendra Bryant. And that's all I know. Oh, yeah, that's all I know.
Thank you.
I appreciate
And could
that.
you also tell us what this program means for these students? I mean, what are they working toward?
Okay. What we're doing at the Preparatory Academy is we're trying to prepare them so that when they bridge over to the high school part of the program, that first year, of course, they'll get acclimated to the high school, and we want them to have that high school experience, so that's why we're a school within a school. But when they begin that dual credit experience, they will be prepared to take college level classes. During the 8th grade year, they are able to take the Compass, and starting next year in October, that will become the AccuPlacer test, which what it does is it sees if students are at an entry level for college to be able to take the English, the math, that kind of thing. And so this year's cohort 2, we have 16 that are called college ready and able, whenever we begin the dual credit at the high school, to take those classes. What has recently happened is there is a core priority curriculum, which is like a 16-credit strand, which will include your English 111, some math, and some other courses that are kind of like the primary courses that you have to take in any Indiana college. The principal, Rusty Hensley of our early college over at the high school, is actively working on MOUs that will set that up. There are also 8 career strands that students can select from. So the bottom line, guys, it's up to you. You have to work really hard, because once you are ready and once you have shown that you're ready, you can begin. So a student could get anywhere from 20 credit hours to 36 credit hours college before they ever leave the high school.
Wow.
And if they want to go directly over to Ivy Tech, they can go over and finish out the associate's degree. If they're very careful as they plan with their counselors, then they can choose a 4-year degree and go to an Indiana State College. And if some of our folks are 21st century, that partner comes right in and helps us out with the rest of it. There are all kinds of opportunities.
Wow.
Has anyone ever put together the financial savings that to the family for having them go through this? I mean, you're talking about 20 to 36 credit hours, as opposed to someone who gets a diploma in June and then starts college in August. How much money a family saves?
We haven't put it on paper, but that was presented. Ivy Tech Community College host several parent meetings for the high school students, and that was actually presented to all the families of how much how much it would have cost and all that kind. It was a good evening, but maybe we need to get it on paper.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say to all the students and the parents that it is a wonderful program with many advantages, and it has fabulous teachers. And to the kids, you're going to be so busy with activities and projects and things that you're learning that the school year just flies by. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that because I've been there.
I would also like for the parents to know how fortunate we are at the Richmond Community Schools to have a strong partnership with Ivy Tech. And I hope you're all fans of Ivy Tech because they have provided Dr. Schlichte half-time for us. She is a half-time Richmond Community Schools employee and half-time Ivy Tech. She works in both places, and the person who has been working with us at Ivy Tech for the past few years to make this happen is Steve Tencher. Steve Tencher is the new chancellor at Ivy Tech. So we're in great shape to even move forward faster and make this program even better for your students. We're very pleased that Ivy Tech's working with us, and if you ever have a chance to say something to anyone out there, we all need to be thanking them for what they're doing for us.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here, and good luck.
Thank you.
Take a moment while they all.
We'll give them a couple of minutes to file out before we start back up again.
Former students. Did the guy call somebody then anyway?
You can tell a big difference between the fifth graders and the sixth graders, can't
Yes,
you?
you can.
But there's still a lot of really big fifth graders.
They're going out for arcade.
They're gonna,
I don't blame them.
No, because they're not nervous now.
Wow, they can eat, they won't.
Did she say how many students are in each cohort?
25, I think.
Is that the number we've always had, correct?
No,
They tried.
the first year it was over 30.
Yeah.
That was not a good
That's
thing.
too big, yeah. But only the first year?
We've expanded at the high school to include cruisers or kids that meet the credentials. So for 50 at the high school.
Okay, I think we can move on now. We're on to reports and discussion topics.
The first item is the State of the Schools report, which was given yesterday at test, in the test cafeteria to a group of about 60 people, I think. We had invited our key communicators and school employees, board members, and administrators. We had some teachers. We had a wide variety of people there yesterday, and I want to thank everybody who could be there. The presentation itself is being aired by our local network, WCTV, and the report is also on our website. I don't know that the entire presentation's on our website. Does anyone help me with that? That's not on there, which is fine. There was a PowerPoint presented that is different from the report. It simply goes into some more details, but it also has a lot more large photos involved in it. We'll be putting that on the website as well. We have it available for tonight. That's about a half an hour presentation. I don't know that it's necessary to go through that, but it's available if the board members really want me to walk you back through that.
Maybe you could just go over a few of the statistics that we talked about that are highlights and.
You know what I could do is get that going and take it to the statistics, because
Okay.
let me do that.
It's impressive. It's good not only for the school system, but for the community as well.
Okay. These are preliminary numbers. They're, and the reason I say they're preliminary is that the state has not come out and actually released all the numbers for public yet. We've not received anything today, Dr. Parker? Okay. We still don't know how well we did in relation to the state either. But the numbers that we're presenting here as preliminary academic results are based on the numbers that have been given to us representing each student's performance. And we've analyzed this pretty much student by student, as opposed to simply accepting the numbers that the state normally gives us in batches. So, as we're looking from 2011 to 2012 in ISTEP, we had a 74.1% passing rate last year that went up to 77.8%. This would be all grades tested. It's not just one specific grade. But that's how the district has in the past looked on ISTEP. In math, we had a nice gain from 73.7% to 78.1%. And if we are only focusing on language arts at third grade, which is what we have done in the past, we've gone from 79.9 to 83.6. And I should say that 83.6 is the highest score, highest passing rate in third grade language arts that this corporation has ever had. So we're very proud of those numbers. If you look at those and convert that to a percentage point increase, we had a 5% gain in language arts, we had a 6% gain in math, and a 5% gain just at the grade 3 level. Very happy with those numbers. For the academic results that we look at within the course of the year, and we wanted to share these out yesterday because we don't look just at one-time scores, we look at scores throughout the year. And when you start looking at scores, it's easy to see some nice growth through the year. And what we do with acuity is a standardized test, but we give it 3 times a year. And what you're looking at here, I haven't included the middle score, but we're looking at the beginning of the year score in language arts and the end of the year score in language arts. And this is for all grades tested. This would be 3rd through 8th grade in this case. And we're looking at 68% at the beginning of the year, 74% at the year's end. In math, it's 68.5, and it rose to 73%. Grade 3 language arts was 66% when the year began and 76 when it ended. For math, it was 63 and it rose to 68. For percentages, those are nice percentage gains in the course of a year. 9%, 7%, 15%, and 8%. And typically, the acuity end of the year scores underpredict the scores that will be achieved at ISTEP. That's something that we've come to realize. I don't know if that's going to be a trend that will be in the future, but for right now, that's what we're seeing. Now, we've also begun looking at standardized testing and grade results for achievement results for kindergarten through 2nd grade. This is a crucial time to be looking at these scores because this is the group that will, within 1 year, be taking that iRead 3, which is so important, and determining whether a student actually passes or is retained in 3rd grade. So as we look at the reading scores, in kindergarten, at the beginning of the year, we had about a 45% passing rate, and at the end of the year, it rose to 79. Math was just 14%, and it rose to 60%. 1st grade reading was 45% at grade level. That rose to 72%. In math, it was 30%, and it rose to 49%. 2nd grade reading was 59%, rose to 71%, and 2nd grade math was 23%, going to 47%. Now, you might ask why those math scores are so much lower than the reading scores, and what we would tell you is that this is a new math program, a new math adoption, but we're also working towards the Common Core standards as opposed to the Indiana standards, and there's been a shift not only for the students but for the teachers, And so we're adjusting to that. We also know that at our at second grade reading, 71% is a wonderful gain, but it doesn't put us where we want to be going into the third grade. So at every one of those levels, we are looking at strategies, interventions to approach those gaps. Now, looking at some of those percentage increases, they almost become well, almost too lofty to count for real. 79 or 76%, 329%, 104%. One of the quotes that I put into this PowerPoint was that it's easy to say that socioeconomics will predict with great accuracy the performance of students on tests, academic achievement tests. It seems to be a fairly reliable predictor. That's when those are taken only once a year. Those are those summative tests. But if you examine what happens within the course of a year, the greatest predictor of success, by far, is the teacher. The teacher is the greatest predictor of that success. And you can see within the year what we're looking at. I think there's a great statement there about what the teachers are capable of doing with the students who are assigned to their classes. Our academic results at the high school are not complete until we have the graduation rate. And don't have that graduation rate just yet, and probably won't have until October. Some years it's even been later than that. We just had another student complete academic requirements for graduation, so, and that's why we don't report that out. We have a number of students who are still working towards that. So, what do we have to report? Well, we have our end-of-course assessments. The end-of-course assessments are given as much weight as the old GQE was given with ISTEP at the 10th grade. At the algebra, in the algebra class, we had 75% last year of the 10th graders passing at that point. This year, we had 79% of our sophomores at that level. Last year, 10th graders, 65%. This year, 69%. Now, this is a different group. Every year, we are looking only at sophomores. But what we're seeing this year is that this sophomore class performed at a higher passing rate than last year's sophomore class. We are talking about two different groups. The other item that we watch very carefully now, because the state also is, would be the number of dual credits given. And this year, if you go right down to the corner, the right-hand corner, the dual credits for this year, almost 2,000, 1908, 1,908 dual credits. Of those, 1,347 were Ivy Tech credits. And that's a statement to the success of our career ed program. You'll probably see more credits earned even in the future through our early college program. But we also have a number that spread between 1347 and 1908 would be those credits earned at Earlham and at IU East. So that's on the rise, and we're very proud of that. I also went into talking about a number of other things yesterday about our move, but those were the statistics that I shared.
And Kelly? Pat? I want to remind the public and ourselves why we did this. When we reorganized our evaluation process for the superintendent, we moved it to a district-wide evaluation, and the goals that the board set early in the fall were those goals by which we were going to measure the progress of the district. And that's what you did yesterday, was to really report to the public on how well this district accomplished the goals that we had set. And so it was not just the achievement numbers, although that was the basis of and very important, but a number of other things, the master plan process and all of the other processes that were part of it. So it was a picture of this district and how well we accomplished what we set out to accomplish.
I think the big story in all of this is that we had nice gains despite the fact that we have had incredible transition activities that could have been distractions from academic achievement. We've had the master planning and all the closure of 3 buildings. We celebrated those buildings yesterday. But aside from that, we've also had renovations, we've had reassignment of teachers, we've
New
had
reading?
the new reading program, the new math program. There have been so many transition activities, and you know, it's hard to even remember, but when the year started, we were in contract negotiations for a contract we had never even settled before. I mean, the settlement of that contract was a brand-new paradigm set by the state. The REA had never been there, we had never been there, and then we've also had to deal with a new teacher evaluation tool, and so we have had a number of accomplishments that aren't measurable by student academic scores, but luckily we can say, and to the credit of all the staff, we have academic gains despite all the distractions, what could have been distractions.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions? Thank you.
When do you expect the final results from the state on ISTEP? Within days or?
They usually come during July, and they'll send them first in the form of a spreadsheet. So, haven't released them yet.
If it alters our numbers in any way, we'll share that.
Well, I was just, I was sorry that I missed. I was planning on attending, but as I was reading an article in the paper today, I just noticed the preliminary ISTEP results that we got are actually different than what was reported out. So I was just wondering when we were going to get up to speed.
You got the new ones with the IMAS scores added.
This is, I mean, the last one I have, I got this 4 weeks ago, maybe?
No, we sent a new one with the IMAS scores.
And then I must not have missed that then, because I was sitting there thinking,
I must have missed it too. I don't remember that.
because I was trying to figure out where where some of the percentages came from.
Last Friday, would have come with the update, I believe.
The IMAS scores came after the first scores came, that were the general ed scores. So what had to happen was, once those came, those did alter percentages. And that's what we based yesterday's report on.
Well, okay. I guess I just want to make sure, I have the correct
Did that come in the update? I don't remember getting them.
I forwarded it to you.
Why don't you double check, and if we did not get them, then
I'm not
pass them
sure.
on in this week's update.
One of the problems, well, maybe you didn't get them. I don't know. One of the problems with this whole time frame is that we are still getting information as we're putting the report together.
And I can understand that.
And that was one of the reasons you didn't get a full report last Friday. You know, I mentioned to you that you got the booklet, but I couldn't put the PowerPoint together until almost 1 o'clock yesterday morning. The information was still coming in. So I don't know whether you have the most recent or not. You do if you have that PowerPoint,
It
that's
might
for
be
sure.
easier if we did this a little bit later next year.
It would help if the annual report came probably in July, because that's when we can be sure that at least we have the ISTEP scores. We still won't have graduation information.
Yeah, we probably should move it then. I mean, just so we can have the most complete story possible. You don't want to probably wait too much later than that, though, because
Well, it
'Cause then you
becomes
might as
almost blended with the new year.
yeah, it's okay to, like, I think we talked about that. It's okay to look back, but you don't want to get it to where you're already into the next year, I don't
Well,
think.
part of it needs to coincide with the
Evaluation.
superintendent's
Mhm.
Evaluation.
as well, which
Sure.
our deadline on that's currently July 15th, right?
Right.
And I'm not trying to criticize him, but I just, in the data, my data isn't matching, and I know it's because it's not updated, so.
Well, we're not trying to keep anyone in the dark. Some of this is late arriving, and that's what we're responding to.
Any other questions? Thank you. How about the West End Bank Agreement?
Well, it looks like we have some representatives from West End Bank, and this is an exciting proposal that they're going to be bringing to us tonight. I think you all have copies of a possible agreement. I invite all of them to come up and talk about this proposal. We haven't rehearsed this.
Thank you, Dr. Borrell. I'm Timothy Frame, Senior Vice President for West End Bank, and I oversee commercial and retail services. So this program falls under, I guess, that broad umbrella. With me tonight is Robin Henry, Senior Vice President of Human Resources. Robin conducts the interviewing and the selection of our students that operate these offices, and then also Susan Haskett, our Marketing Director. Susan? Susan oversees the literacy aspect of the program as well as the branch operations themselves. So we're excited to present this proposal to you for consideration tonight. It's a way that we've been able to expand the program to reach out to all students in some form or fashion. So I encourage you, I think you all have the proposal in front of you, so we're here tonight really just to show our support of the program from the bank standpoint and to show our appreciation and to answer any questions.
Can you
that
talk a
anyone
little
might
bit
have.
about the program? Currently, it's at Garrison.
Yes.
And you're going
Yes.
to move it to all.
Yeah, the same concept that we've enjoyed at the Garrison School will be extended to each elementary school, and you've been provided with a schedule of how that'll operate. So students at each school will have the opportunity to not only work at the branch, but also to conduct banking and to be involved in financial literacy. So it's really just an expansion of the program. And then at the middle school level, we look to sort of broaden our reach as far as the literacy program and to offer the special account types that are available. You might see that there's a premium interest paid on the accounts to encourage savings and good habits. And then at the high school level, there really won't be much of a change. You know, we'll continue that program. I think it's been successful as it's set up, so I hope that answers your question.
It's been a great partnership so far, so we're looking forward to the expansion. Did anyone have any questions on this?
Do you have a way that you evaluate at the end of the year of how you felt, how successful it was?
Well, we
or-
look at this program really just as a way for us to give back to the community. So it's not so much about, you know, profits or dollars and cents as you might think of. Usually that's what bankers are concerned about, but this program's a little different. This is a way for us to give back to the community. So we think it's successful if we've been able to reach the students, to offer these learning opportunities, and to give them the opportunity to not only conduct banking, but to even work at a bank. And we've had nice success. Many of the student accounts, some that have gone on to graduate from high school, have continued their banking relationship with us, and that's exciting to see. But right now we've got about 139 accounts, I think it is, that we consider student accounts. So from our vantage point, it is successful, and I hope you feel the same way.
Well, I like the "we are saving."
Well, we also like the check that comes at the end of the year, because
Yes.
you do give back directly
Mhm.
in a donation, and that's. I've been doing some work on financial literacy for kids and how serious a problem it is.
Mhm.
And so I don't know how we can expand the concept of not only savings, but understanding the whole budgeting and all of that kind of thing. Financial literacy is a real issue for
Yes, it is.
young people, especially as they get ready to go out into the world. So any inroad there is useful.
Suzanne?
Well, yes, did you?
Yeah, I was curious if you do any like pre and post testing regarding the when you do the financial literacy, to see how far they've come, because I think that you're right. I think there's a definite gap there. I'm just curious.
That's a good idea, not that I'm aware of. Are you aware of that, Susan? I think at this time we just provide the information and we're there, you know, to answer questions and provide assistance. So we try to make it somewhat of a low-pressure situation, especially for the real young students.
And how many students at the high school get to participate in the financial literacy classes? It's primarily at the Career Center? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Mhm.
Okay.
And how have you factored the change of the grade levels into your thoughts about working with students? Because you have been working with, what, 5th and 6th graders, or have you worked with 4th graders as well?
Well, I think we've provided the information at the 4th grade level, it's my understanding, but we're going to expand the literacy aspect of it to 5th through 8th grade. So we'll be, I guess, ramping up that program, you might say, to go into a little more detail to meet the needs of that age group.
Okay.
And we're open to feedback and suggestions on what those topics might be.
Jeff, did you have a question?
Well, yeah, just as I read through your proposal,
Mhm.
you know, the last 2 or 3 pages, it kind of does a better job of explaining the overall. And I
Mhm.
noticed that, and I never got to experience the program at Garrison. So,
Okay.
It's run by the students outside of the school day prior to school starting.
Prior to school, yes.
So when you say you provide the curriculum and stuff like that for, have the elementary teachers actually, do they actually have part of their session through the day? Do they use that? I mean, how, explain to me how are we educating our children other than providing an open bank between 7:30 and 8 o'clock?
Right. Robin, can you expand on that, please? Thank you. It's a good question.
In the third trimester, we have one of our employees come to the 4th grade, and they do sessions with all the 4th graders concerning financial literacy, savings, how to manage money, and that is provided 1 day a week for 4 weeks. And then the tellers who actually work for us have ongoing interaction and training with our branch personnel every time that they're there. The branch, the bank employee is the one that kind of just supervises and oversees, but the students are the ones that have to log in the money, count it, package it, get it ready. They also have an opportunity to do a field trip at West End Bank where they present their deposit numbers to our bank employees. They're a part of that. They also then go to our East Side office and learn from our branch manager, our branch tellers, of how a branch is actually operated. And then I take them to lunch and we talk about the personnel policy and the things that all employees are excited about. But especially for the younger ones, there's a lot of different types of education from, they're having their first job interview. We set it up just like they would an actual interview. They have to have an application. They are interviewed by branch personnel. So it's, we try to give them some life experiences in that program.
So are we actually, through the class day on these days that you come into the buildings,
Mm-hmm.
are we actually teaching the students how to balance a checkbook? How to, I mean, are we doing that kind of thing?
For that 4th grade group, we have a book called The 3 Cups, and it's very similar to the Lemonade Day concept of saving money, giving back money, and then how you're going to spend your money. And what it means to be financially responsible and to have money and what you do with your money. That's what we really focus on in the 4th grade. Now, when we get into the higher, in the high school level, we really talk about credit scores, how to balance your checkbook, the difference between a credit card, a debit card. It's not just free money, those type of issues.
So really then where the program really need, because we're not providing a bank currently at the middle schools.
That is correct.
So, I think there's something at Hibbert, if I read right. But, so we're going from the book that you talked about as far as the curriculum in the elementary, so we start now at the 4th grade. Then we're going to the banking and the career center at the high school. So balancing the checkbook and that really needs to, that's where
We want to kind of fill in some gaps in there and provide something for the middle school, even though we might not have a branch presence, but we want
that type of stuff.
We want to have the financial literacy a little bit more in depth and grade appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more comments, questions? Thanks for being here.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Summer curricular related events.
Before the West End people leave, I also want to say thanks for some of the extraordinary measures you take to support our kids individually. We won't go into detail about that, but there's a lot of behind the scenes taking place, thanks to West End Bank and their employees that we need to say thank you for. So thanks.
Definitely.
Good evening. I'd like to update you on our activities, and I'll call them instructional activities this summer. And as we're getting close to the middle of summer, we've already had a number of things occur. And I estimate we probably have over 1,000 students being impacted or touched by summer programs, whether that's in the classroom or through our camps. So that's about a fifth of our population. So even though our regular school year has concluded, we're still providing services and assisting with students and teachers. The first slide, I wanted to bring you up to date. We just completed last week our first week in the Indiana Science Initiative, and this has been made possible by a state grant, and we are very privileged to be a part of this. We are also with 2 other school corporations at the current time, the only ones being made available this kind of grant. And that would include, for 2 years, teachers to be paid stipends during the summer for training, up to 2 weeks of training this summer and next summer. And we also have the privilege of having a science coach this coming school year, and that will be Lori Fields, who will be working with teachers and having the ability to instruct and go in the classroom. Last week we had 83 teachers who were trained, and we'll have about the same number for the second week that will be coming up July 30th. And the primary focus for the K-6 program will be scientific method, notebooking, and a lot of hands-on work. So the first day and a half, teachers focused on how they'll be instructing students. So students will receive a little composition book, and they'll begin notebooking through the year, and actually we'll keep these for at least kindergarten, first grade. They'll keep it from one year to the next. And it's a record of thought process, predicting what might happen in an experiment, what they feel their claims would be, and their, in other words, their hypothesis. And there's always a focus question in each unit, and all those notes and observations are recorded in a notebook. The teachers were not only learning the process themselves, but how they'll work with students and have students do that. And I will say they really adjusted well to that, and I think they're looking forward to including that. I think it also can be an additional skill set for our students in writing, and really would relate well to the Common Core, which is coming up, which is a heavy emphasis on content standards and writing on nonfiction. So it really is going to enhance our curriculum. Would point that we had a number of people who have been state trainers, and I really believe this is the reason we received this grant. Those persons listed: Lori Fields, Sam Thomas, Matt Hazacoster, Sarah Hazacoster, Susie Hazacoster, yes, the entire family, Jane Pigman, Tate Jennings. They have been training around the state, most of them, for the last 2 years, and so we're very lucky to have them work for us and be able to do that on site. And this was taking place at Richmond High School. They were very gracious to provide facilities in the science classrooms. The first kits that teachers learned for students, those are listed. I won't go through all of those. And actually the first week they completed 2 full kits, and also a complete rendering on the writing process that will be used. The second week, as mentioned, will be July 30th and August 3rd through the August 3rd. And I felt like we got a pretty good orientation just from high school students who were watching some of the experiments in the hallway and were just intrigued and offering comments and solutions, and so I can tell it works with all kids, so we're excited to see that. The next slide covers our summer school programming this year is K to 6, and again we're at C.R. Richardson, and we felt that last year we were very privileged also to utilize Boys Club, Girls Club, but we felt like this year we wanted to keep all the students in one building as it related to instructional supplies and just keeping all the kids together. But we have provided transportation to and from that facility, so it's worked out well for students and parents, and they've continued to assist us with that. The two principals this year, splitting time, Mrs. O'Brien and Mrs. Quinn. K to 2, the focus is on reading instruction, and 4 through 6 is language arts and math. Again, we had theme-based instruction. We had teachers make proposals. I've listed some of those proposals, and it's really a nice blend of, I think, high student interest activities and very skills-based. So I think teachers are working very hard to offer a nice blend. Several field trips will also be offered to go along with those themes. The high school courses we have several traditional courses that are outlined there: physical education, U.S. government, the math and language labs for those students preparing for the ECA exams. We also have doubled our credit recovery labs, and those are providing credit recovery to high school students that need to catch up on maybe some credits that they have not been able to pass. And also for students looking to earn credits. For example, a student that might be fully engaged in AP curriculum, they may take a course that they can assist in their curriculum so that they can progress a little better and not have scheduling conflicts that might occur during the school year. Once again, Earlham College is working with us with their academy for middle school students, and that will occur later in July. The third grade academy is running currently and will be coming to closure July the 6th. We have 100 students approximately engaged in a third grade academy, and we have actually that 80 students is now about 70 students. We checked our list this morning and filling out the information that we need to for those students to take that iRead 3 test. They'll be taking it the 5th and 6th, and we'll be busing students to 3 different buildings, and this version of iRead will be online. So we had to make sure we had the right technology for that to occur. Again, we've got the small class size, and this year, this is kind of unique, we're partnering with the third grade academy with 2 district interventionists, and those teachers work in more or less a tier 3 kind of arrangement with students to focus in on specific skills that the data would indicate for their iRead test. And really, I think, again, we've offered the best of both worlds with the various sites around the community, and again, I think the kids are excited to attend those events. The celebration will be July the 6th at Earlham, and I believe that's at 2 o'clock, if you're interested in attending. Other activities occurring right now, this last 2 weeks, I had an opportunity this morning to visit the IU East Partnership. These are high school students who are working with IU East, and the Tim Scales is sponsoring the Center for Entrepreneurship. And they're working with students, actually the students are working on presenting a marketing program that they would want Richmond to consider in promoting the community to outside and internally for persons that would be wanting to look at various phases or parts of our community. The presentation, I guarantee you, will be very interesting. They are coming at it from all kinds of angles, and the brainstorming and the technology being used will be very interesting. And that will be this Friday at Reed in the Lingo Meeting Room, and I believe that time was 10 a.m. We had that change. I think we originally said 9. Again, we have a lot of summer camps, and it's nice to see the kids around the buildings. And we had, I know, it seemed like 1,000 kids for the basketball part, but we had a huge contingency for football, baseball, tennis, girls basketball. I'm sure I'm missing some of those, but just compliment the coaches that put in that extra time during the summer. And also, really, our facilities, all those have to be maintained and cleaned. And so, again, a lot of people continue working through the summer. In addition to that, we have meals for most of these students and programs, and just compliment Maggie LaRue for all the work that they do. They feed the high school students a full meal every day, and that's free to them, and I know they appreciate that. And also, last but not least, completion. We've completed the move of our instructional materials, and those are now in the buildings where teachers will be residing, many boxes, and would add that this year at the first day staff meeting, we're going to kind of curtail that in order to give teachers a chance to work in their buildings and make sure their classrooms are ready. And I know that they're wanting to get in there. In some cases, those buildings are just not available. As Hibbard for one, and several others. So they're very anxious. They want to get in there and work. So that I know we'll begin to see them as August rolls around.
Yep. Anyone want to make any comments or have any questions? That's a lot.
Tired listening to
Yeah,
it.
well, we don't slow down at all during the summer.
Aren't our food services also providing JUCO meals as well?
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's people busy all over the place at all times.
Thank you. On to action items.
For our first item, under action, we have the receipt of donations, and it's a lengthy list. We talked about this and decided, let's go ahead and go through the list.
Thank you. Tonight we ask the board to accept the following donations from Vale Elementary PTO, Highland Heights Elementary PTO, Garrison Elementary PTO, Elizabeth Starr Academy PTO, Westview Elementary PTO, Fairview Elementary PTO, and Crestdale Elementary PTO for the Kindergarten Rocks program to purchase books for all our incoming kindergarten students. From the American Water Company to Richmond High School for student activities and incentives. From Ray Wolpe for the high school for students in need to purchase caps and gowns for graduation. From Mr. and Mrs. Ron Christopher to Richmond High School for the Perfect Attendance Award. From Mrs. Eileen Githens to Richmond High School for the Business Education Award. From Mr. and Mrs. Michael Apresti to Richmond High School for the Larry Spicer Scholarship. From Mr. and Mrs. P. Schroeder for Richmond Athletics for the Boys Golf Camp Fund. And from Dr. and Mrs. Brad Barrett for the Boys Golf Camp Fund. From Charles Russell to Richmond Athletics for the Girls Softball Camp Fund. And from Rod Weiss to Richmond Athletics, a donation for Diamond Dry and Field Chalk. From the Kiwanis Club of Richmond to the Community Partner and Engagement Office for the RCS Mentoring Program. From Jim and Carol Banning, Elaine Barnes, Pete and Nancy Beeman, Chris Beeson, Jack and Barb Bilfus, James and Barb Bergdahl, Richard and Nancy Boddicker, Tony and Dorothy Broadwell, again from Ron and Rhonda Christopher, Gerald and Gail Dorna, Don and Sue Duke, BC and Sandy Emmons, Vance and Ann England, Shirley Glennon, Dr. Tom and Kirsten Grayson, Eric and Leslie Green, Roger and Connie Green, Lonnie and Sherry Hart, Richard Harder, Grover and Dorothy Hemthorne, Don Hilbert, David and Sherry Jetmore, Kenneth and Patricia Jordan, John and Janet Kaufman, Joan Lawrence, Tim and Ellen Love, Doris Ellen Miller, Gloria Mueller, Eric and Loretta Tugel, and Clarence Warwick to Civic Hall to the proudly presenting series annual giving campaign. We ask you to accept these very generous donations of $6,971.01.
Do I hear a motion to accept the donations as presented? Jeff Slifer makes the motion and Suzanne Darengowski seconds the motion. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is a public hearing for the superintendent contract. Recent legislation, and that's 2026-5-4.3, requires a greater sense of transparency in the approval of new contracts for school superintendents. That law begins July 1st. Because my contract takes place August 1st, I'm one of the first superintendents in the area to fall under this new legislation. So I'm recommending that a hearing be conducted on July 11th to discuss, hear public objections and support for the proposed contract between the board and superintendent, and further I'm recommending that the board authorize public notice of that hearing pursuant to current law.
Aaron Stevens makes the motion and Pat Heine seconds the motion. Are there comments and questions on this? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. On to our master plan.
And we have a project update from Mr. Mays.
Thank you, Dr. Borf and the board. I'd like to just list the projects and where we are to date. Test renovation of the life skill areas, turning those into regular classrooms. The demolition has started. They'll start tearing the walls out Monday and be completed by July the 27th. At Baxter, demolition to start July the 2nd and be completed July the 27th. We're putting security cameras in, timeout rooms, computer lab, and a signaling system. We call it a nurse's call, but it's not. It's a light like a nurse's call on the outside of each classroom door that signals back to the office if somebody's having a problem in the room. The Star parking lot. They actually started today, and I think they knocked down one tree so they could say they started. But they did start today. July the 2nd, the week of July the 2nd, they'll have the stone and the concrete work completed. The week of July the 23rd, they have the asphalt completed. And July the 30th, they'll stripe it and finish grading and seeding. So by the end of July, the parking lot at Star will be completed. The Dennis Cafeteria is a really exciting one to look at. If you ever out and around and you want to stop by Dennis, we've completed the demolition in the cafeteria itself, and you can see the openings that we've put from the cafeteria to the corridor, and we've already completed the plumbing rough ends. We've poured the slab back in today, and that the metal studs and drywall started today, and we have an August 3rd completion date, but the way they're working right now, I would venture to say we might beat that by a couple weeks.
Wow.
At Hibbard, we have a city inspection for occupancy permit on Friday, which will allow us to have open houses, teachers come in and get their classrooms ready. Friday will be 98% complete with the corridor flooring that we're still putting in and that area, so that it looks like the second week or the week after the 4th of July, all the teachers will be able to come in, and I'm telling you, we had to change the locks on the door because they kept coming in, so we changed the locks on the door so they couldn't come in. They're ready to go.
Yes, they
When I talked to the students out in the other room before the board meeting, they're ready to start. I mean, they are excited. To everyone, they're excited about going to Hibbard. The parking lot bids will be presented to you at the next July 11th board meeting for approval. And that's the one that we wanted to try to get in right when school's ready to start. The Crestdale, if you drive by Crestdale, you'll see a big change because all the new windows are in. It looks like an entirely different building. Believe it or not, on phase 1, which is the east wing, the painting is 100% complete. The lay-in ceiling grids are 80% complete. The cork and the wall covering in the classroom and the corridors, they're complete. They're starting the casework tomorrow. The sprinkler rough-in is complete. They're going to start installing light fixtures. Once we get that done, then we'll start carpet. We'll seal the area off, and so that nobody can get in there and start on the rest of the area. On phases 2 and 3, the demolition is complete. We're starting the metal studs and wood blocking. Electrical rough-ins are complete. Plumbing's complete. Sprinkler rough-in is almost complete. So we are right on schedule, and we watch that on Wednesdays, and we have a meeting and discuss it on Fridays. So every Monday, they give us a plan, if they're behind, how they can make that prior week up, because if you don't make it up now, it'll snowball on you in August. But they are right on schedule, and we're getting ready to go. The new addition, the structural steel is up, and we're ready to start putting the roof joists on there, and to date, that's also on schedule. So all of our projects that we have will be geared and will be ready for students on August the 13th.
Wow.
Yeah. Sounds like it's really moving along.
If anybody wants to look at the jobs, I'd be more than happy to give me a call, and I'll take you out there and put a hard hat on you, and we'll walk through the project. It's really.
I peeked into Crestdale just because the neighbors were telling me how exciting it was, because they peek in at times.
At Crestdale, we're working 10 hours a day for 4 days, 8 hours on Friday and 8 hours on Saturday.
Yeah.
This last weekend, the masonry contractors worked also on Sunday. So it's moving.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have to say that watching Ron's face,
Yeah.
you can tell he's so happy being out of retirement and back in the ballpark.
Well, on the website, if you want to look at some of the pictures, I like what Hibbard's entranceway is going to look like. That's a really nice change. And so, Bridget, you have some pictures on the website, and there are some pictures of the Crestdale demolition and some other things on the website. So if you're curious, you could head there too if you don't want a hard hat. Right?
I know we don't have frequently asked questions tonight, but I did have a question if I could ask. The last time I talked to you about transfers within the school system and those who are waiting to see if they get into a particular school or not. You said that we were going to have another lottery probably when?
Did I say that?
You said
Kathy said that.
When
We're going to do that the first week in July.
and then possibly another one after that.
Well, we will have to do the kindergarten one right before school starts.
How are we doing on getting the kids into the schools that they
Right now,
requesting?
we are almost at capacity, so there won't be very many more transfers.
Do we still have quite a few on the list?
It's certain grade levels in certain schools.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, on to our press conference. Any questions out there, Brian?
I don't know.
No?
Bob? Okay, our consent items tonight include the approval of the June 13th, 2012 minutes, approval of recommendation from Human Resources, accounts payable, approval of the Title I Part A grant application, also approval of the Japanese language school agreement, approval of a common construction wage hearing, and also the filing of reports, which would be the monthly financial report. I'd recommend the above for approval as consent items.
Do I hear a motion to accept the consent items as presented? Dixie Robinson makes the motion and Aaron Stevens seconds the motion. Are there comments or questions on the consent items?
I wanted to ask a question about the Japanese language school. Are our students involved in that?
We may have some, but the students who are involved in that also come from outside.
Right.
I mean, it's from this whole region.
Okay.
Jeff?
The title, I tried to get it to load up, but for some reason I'm not. PDFs and Word docs always gives me a problem for some reason. But the Title I Part A grant, which was, what, 83 pages?
Yeah, it's big.
As I read through that, I like it because I don't remember in the past getting the detail by building showing the number of positions. I mean, it really shows you.
We always have.
It really shows you how it impacts each of the individual buildings, especially when you're talking, what, an average of $250,000 per building. But one of the, just as I was looking at the numbers, and I wrote down in my notes page 39, but I just noticed on Crestel, it talked about certified benefits, and that number was almost $50,000, and it just seemed way out of line in comparison to the salary. So I just double checking that. But is those records? I mean,
If an employee elects full coverage, then per employee, you could be looking at $25,000 in benefits by the time you do FICA and workman's comp and 401.
Turf, 401K, and family health benefits.
it just seemed to be completely out of line with the other.
What were the salaries?
I was thinking it was only 2 certified positions, so.
Correct.
But the salary was listed like, I wish I could have pulled it up, but it looks like it was $50,000. I was just surprised the percentage was, I just really, I like the fact that it shows you the number of paraprofessionals, and I appreciated the information, so.
Other comments and questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. It's time for our second public commentary. Is there anyone signed up for second public commentary?
No, there's not.
Is there anyone out there who would like to speak? Okay. Follow up on old business.
We talked about the Hibbert Pool several times tonight, and I heard as board members in there talking about the pool. Aren't we still currently under contract with the fitness group until, I think because it automatically renewed last year for 12 months, and I think that contract expires at July 31st. So I'm assuming that we've not had any discussion on it, so I'm assuming that since it didn't have another extension after that, it's kind of going by the wayside?
I would hope not.
No, no. In fact, we had a meeting within the last week and they are going to continue for another year. And we want to do that for the fact that they already provide swim lessons for the Boys and Girls Club. They will be providing swim lessons for the Hibbert students and anyone else, and they're expanding their program to meet those needs. Anytime you have a pool, you have to have 2 lifeguards on duty. Well, we only have 1 PE teacher, so they will be providing the services for that. Now, should it ever get to the case that there's a conflict and that we need it, that's another issue, but we feel that it's ready to go forward for another year.
Well, most of their programs are early morning. I mean, many of their programs are very early morning and afternoon and evening too, so.
And we
they're
spoke about,
around-
we will be using it from 8 to 3, other than from 11 to 1, and that's our lunch hours anyway, and that, and very fully aware that we're going to get first dibs, and very much agreeable and ready to work with us.
So there's, just to reiterate, we're not having any conflict with our scheduling, with them being open for
No,
business?
none at all. And when there is, that'll be another issue, but I don't anticipate it.
Now, are we putting this back out for bids, or are we automatically,
We're gonna automatically
renewing the
renew
new
it.
contract?
Yeah, we're renewing it at the same price. You don't have to put it out for bids if it's a renewal
Well,
at the same price.
I guess I would be interested in having some more information on it, because the cost to run the pool versus what we're charging them versus what they're able to make as a profit for their own corporation. I just want to make sure that, you know, should we not charge them more, or what are we getting in the benefit? So I just wanted,
I'll be glad to
you know,
make a
I just
formal
figured it's
report or
time.
talk to you offline on some of the added benefits that we get for having them available that are not run through our corporation, and that's
So
through the
the-
aquatics club and some stuff that they do at the high school.
Seems that they enhance our programs, you know, so.
Yes.
I think
Well, it's just something that we have a contract that expires basically in a
Mhm.
month, and we should be having some discussions at the board level, I think, and before it just automatically renews. So I haven't seen any of the projections or rationale behind it or anything. So I was curious whether we were going to have, you know, classes for the life skills and those types of things. And as long as that's incorporated, I'm sure we're all
And that
okay
will
with
be driven by the PE teacher and then coordinated with Family Fitness. So it's not going to be driven by Family Fitness, it's going to be driven by Richmond Community Schools and their needs, and then they will meet our needs. We have had that
And
conversation.
Pam Kirk is planning to do that with particularly with the life skills students. I think that was in the update last Friday under a special ed report.
Right.
And I guess Ron would have to answer this question, but when and it's been a while since I read the contract, but I think it had the right to renew for 12 months. I didn't see where they could renew it every 12 months, so are we okay on that, Ben?
I don't know. I don't have the contract committed to memory, and I wasn't aware this was going to come up.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other old business? Then we're on to superintendent and board reports, reflections, and celebrations. I just wanted to say there was a luncheon last week to thank all of the people who were involved in moving all the boxes, and it was at lunchtime at Test in the cafeteria, and it was a great turnout, and I really enjoyed talking to all the people that helped out with that. They had great attitudes. They were excited, and I thought it was very nice. So I want to thank them also.
I do too, and I think we took that opportunity to thank them, but I also want to thank one person who was responsible for the whole thing, and that's Bob Coddington. Sometimes we're so caught up that we forget to say thanks, and he took that time and thanked that department, and it was a well-earned thank you. So, Bob,
It's a great
thank
group
you.
of people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and then the food service people put together, again, like I said, that lunch was awesome, and then breakfast for your report, they again, that was another set of people they had to feed, and they're always so gracious about
Pat,
that.
I wanted to make sure that the communications committee, which includes community members, thanked and celebrated for the report they helped Bridget and you all put together. That committee's been very active through social media, and I would be remiss if I tried to name them all. Suzanne, you want to name the community partners? Because I think that's really important when we
Leslie
have
Bolzer, Phil Quinn, Peter Zaleski, Eric Marsh, myself.
Brian Dare, is he one of them?
No, Brian.
Is that it? Okay. Yeah, well, first of all, good group. You couldn't get a better think tank together regarding marketing and communication that I can think of. So that's a good group of people, and I'm always very honored to be among them because they're very creative people.
I had one other celebration, a statistic that you shared at the breakfast yesterday that was shared with us, were and I don't know quite what to call this, but the results of Challenge Day were very impressive at the high school. Leslie Bolser put together the statistics measuring the difference in I guess, violent behavior in the high school before and after that, for the same periods from 2 different years, and showed a marked change in student attitude and behavior. And she would attribute that to students being empowered, making decisions, and pulling that all together. But between the Bully movie and the Challenge Day, I thought that was pretty exciting. Those were exciting statistics, and I think they're on the, they probably are on the
They're on that
website.
PowerPoint.
And on that PowerPoint, if people want to take a look at that.
Well, and those students who participated all graduated.
Yes.
All of the Challenge Day?
All the organizers.
All of the organizers.
And they were in that class because they were struggling.
Yes.
They all graduated.
Did they really?
So that was the point, that,
That's huge.
yeah.
That's huge. Well, they were there to work on the ECA in some way or another.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Wow. That is exciting.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.